It is a new school year, which means new schedules, new teachers, new classwork, new homework, and more. It takes a lot of energy, and if your child is struggling to get motivated, we now have neurologist and author Dr. Shafer Stedron with some tips. Good morning, doctor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Christine, thank you for having me.
You have 4 school-age children. I have 3. We know it is such an adjustment every year when we go back in either August or September, but you know something I don't know, and you know the brain very well. So explain to us how the child's brain makes, changes and struggles, I assume, when we, enter this new season.
We're all stressed right now, and that is definitely going to be something that our children are experiencing from us as well, especially at the beginning of a school year. And not only are they excited to go to school, but they may also have some fear and anxieties. We can help them from a neurological-based approach to understand that anxiety, that fear is actually something that our nervous system is trying to tell us, and learn how to use that fear to respond in a healthy way rather than getting stuck in the emotions. We can teach them tools to do that.
So how do we teach them to use that fear? Because I know, like, my girls just started middle school, and the first day they were excited, and the second day, not so much. One of them was like, I'm done, I want to stay home.
Oh, that's
after one day.
That's so hard. And so accepting that emotion, right? Not pushing it to the side, but then saying, okay, what can we do with those feelings? How can we learn from that experience and protect ourselves, right? And when we're in those tricky situations, what are some tools that we can use? So big tools are when we're calm, so before the school year or on the weekend, getting to know some affirmations that we like or songs. Our family has a song we call the Good Day song that we always sing together, and that is something we sing in the car, and it's an automatic reset. Things like breathing exercises that access our vagal nerve, as well as silly dances. There are all sorts of ways that we can quickly reset our neurochemistry with our kids so they are in a positive frame of mind, and that's the best state to be in to actually learn at school.
And you've written a book about this. This is The Boy and His Brightly Colored Blocks, actually inspired by your son. Can you explain what it's about and how it helps kids?
Yes, so the book goes through a day with a boy who loves his brightly colored blocks, but he really struggles with transitions and his big emotions. And so for myself as a mom and a neurologist, I was really inspired to share how we as a family learn to embrace acceptance, lean into co-regulation in those challenging moments, as well as lean into what I call connection over correction. Because if our kids are really afraid and we're correcting them a lot, they're in this fight or flight state, especially kids with PDA, which is something we talk about in the book, pathological demand avoidance. Whereas if we're connecting with them and really trying to understand what is leading us to this emotional state, we can move through the state together.
And you gave some great tips like songs and things like that, but I have a high schooler, right? So we're a little beyond that. Any tips for like the older kids, the middle schoolers, the high schoolers? I know my son, I can already see he feels the stress, not of things that have already happened, but what he's anticipating.
Yeah. So honestly, those silly tips, they work for all ages.
Oh, okay.
They work for us too.
Okay.
But I think it's also really important that we're mindful about and intentional about our environment at home and at school. So what kind of shows are your kids watching, or podcasts are they listening to? What books are they reading? We can basically prime the field. We can sow the seeds of positivity, so when they're stressed, they can lean back to that inspirational quote, and we can talk about those things at the dinner table. And one thing that I think is really transformative is when you actually ask your kids, what went wrong today? What was a challenge? And that gives them an opportunity to talk through it and decide what they want to do next time, rather than, again, getting stuck in that emotional state.
Yeah, and so important to validate their feelings. We would never want someone to say to us when we come home from work, like, oh, get over it, like, welcome to the real world. No one wants to hear that. Okay, in closing, how can people connect with you and find some of your tips online?
I would love to see people at my website, drshaferstedronova.com, and I also have a podcast, Talks with Dr. Shafer, that they can follow along.
That we can all listen on the way to school.
Exactly.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, Doctor.